Hi, Paul here from Photogenius. Welcome to my channel where I do photography tutorials, I share tips and tricks and do occasional gear reviews as well. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. This is week 10 of the Photogenius Photography Challenge, which is a weekly challenge designed to help you guys take better photos and get more from your digital cameras, all while staying safely at home during this crazy time that we're all going through. It's been an amazing 10 weeks. The idea is that I set a theme on the Monday, you have a week to take photos, post them to social media so I and others can see them, and I have been blown away by your images and the sheer number of people getting involved. So I want to begin this video by saying a big thank you to everybody that's got involved in the challenge to date. You guys are awesome. So to celebrate the fact that we made it to week 10 of the photography challenge, I'm going to be featuring in this video some of my favorite images that you guys have taken and submitted over the last few weeks. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video to see if your image has been included. I also need to make an announcement, and that is that from here onwards, the challenge is now going to go monthly. Now the main reason for this is because life here in Queensland, in Brisbane, is getting slowly back to normal, and this means that I can now start running my business once again, which is running photography courses and workshops and doing private sessions. Now I'm still going to be running the YouTube channel, that keeps me busy as well, but to sustain the challenges I can't do it weekly. I don't want to not do it because I know you guys love it and I love putting it together for you guys. So I think a monthly challenge will work just as well, and it gives you more time to work on your images as well. So this week's theme will actually run throughout June, and at the beginning of July I'll have a new theme and a new challenge for you. So the theme for this week's challenge, or I should of course say this month's challenge, is portraits. And if you're sharing your images to social media, please use the hashtag PGWeek10. That way I and others can see your images. So what I want you to do is take a photo of somebody, and if you don't have anybody available, you can do a self-portrait. Now I know that some of you guys are going to love this challenge and you're going to embrace it, whereas some of you might be feeling a little bit uncomfortable about doing portrait photography. But I would still like you guys to get on board because it's called a photography challenge for a reason. I'm a firm believer that trying different things and sometimes moving out of your comfort zone is actually a great way of learning. Now here's a few example images that I shot myself. This first image, what I like about this is the nice soft window light over to the right of the frame. This image also follows the rule of thirds, and some of you may remember this from week 5 of the challenge. This second image was taken in the evening, and I think the bright harsh orange light, the really dark shadows and the silhouette really add to the atmosphere and the mood of the image. For this image, the subject was shot against a plain black background, just one light off to the right hand side of the frame, and a black and white conversion I think gives the image a nice timeless quality as well. This is an image I absolutely love. So portrait photography should be about fun, and there's no rules here, so if you want your subject to be out of focus because it works, go for it. Okay, so let me share some tips for you guys. Tip number 1 is to focus on the eye of the subject. There's a well-known saying, of course, which is the eyes are the window to the soul. So this one is particularly important. If you're looking at a picture and the eyes of the subject are out of focus, then you don't really engage with the subject in the same way. So if you can, learn how to control your camera's focus points so you can select the focus points individually and move them to the eye of the subject. Now, if you're not sure how to do this, I've made a separate video on this one, and I'll put a link up here as well as in the description below so you can check it out. General rule of thumb is if the subject is looking directly at the camera, then it doesn't matter which of the two eyes you focus on. But if the subject is looking off camera, then you focus on the eye that's closest to the camera. And for those of you who like taking photos of your pets, treat them in exactly the same way as you would a person. Make sure you get the eyes in focus, otherwise the picture just doesn't really work. Tip number 2 is light is everything. So mix it up. Try taking a portrait in harsh, bright conditions. Probably the best way to take a picture is actually on overcast days when the conditions and the light is a lot softer. Try shooting near a window. Try shooting in the morning. Try shooting into the evening when there's not much light around. This image here of my daughter watching something on her iPad, here the only light on her face is pretty much the light from the iPad. This is an old image, but it's one of my absolute faves. Now, if you want to do a self-portrait, tip number 3 is just for you. Now, before we get to tip number 3, here's a couple of example images. I shot this image on a cloudy afternoon, natural daylight just coming through the window. The blurry background, you may recall, this is called a shallow depth of field, and we covered this in week 4 of the challenge. And this image here, which I converted to black and white, actually shot just this morning. Yes, I'm out of focus, but I really like the way the image looks. Now, one of the trickiest things to do when you're doing a self-portrait, of course, is to focus on yourself. Here's the camera that I'm going to use for my self-portrait, and when the camera takes the picture, I'm going to be standing here. And I can't reach the camera, so I can't touch the shutter button, I can't focus. So there's a really good way around this, and that is to take the camera off the tripod, stand in the spot, and I've placed something on the floor to mark my spot so I know exactly where to stand. Now what I do is with the camera, I focus on the tripod. Now to lock the focus, this is the trick. You switch the lens switch from autofocus to manual focus, and that means the focus now can't adjust, it won't change. Now, camera goes back on the tripod. And of course, as long as I stand in the same spot, the distance is the same, I should be in focus. All I've got to do now is make sure I've set up the timer, so I've got a few seconds to get back to my spot. Okay, I press the button, I got 10 seconds, plenty of time to look for my marker, stand in my spot, and fingers crossed. And that's how you get a perfectly focused self-portrait. So as I promised, here is a gallery of images taken by you. I've selected images from each of the weekly challenges that were either shared to our Facebook group or posted to Instagram. And remember, this is not a competition. These are just a small selection of the images posted and images that I feel stand out and really rose to the challenge. Congratulations to all the photographers featured. So I hope you have a lot of fun taking part in the portrait challenge, and I really can't wait to see your images. Don't forget, if you're posting your images to social media, to use the hashtag PGWeek10 so I and others can check out your photos as well. And if you're interested in finding out more about the previous challenges, just visit the Photogenius website. I'll put a link in the description below this video. If you've enjoyed the video, please support this channel by giving me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing and leave your comments, suggestions and questions down below. I hope to see you again sometime soon. See ya. Bye.